Do you find yourself in a cash crunch every single season, wondering how you're going to pay yourself, how you're going to pay your bills, and just seriously like pulling your hair out saying, where's the money gone? I get it. I was there. It took me years to figure out what I needed in my business to fix this. And I'll tell you, the answer is one spreadsheet. That's all it takes to solve all your issues with cash crunches in your business. It's one spreadsheet to do your estimating and your job tracking all in one. And listen, the idea of building one of these spreadsheets with auto-populating materials, markup allocation, and preloaded stuff sounds just wild and out of your kind of skill set. No problem. I've taken care of that for you. I've built exactly a replica of what I did, what I use in my business, although I've tweaked it and I've added a few extra things in there that'll make it so much easier for you to use and actually implement in your business that you will never miss another material, another delivery, another cost, or anything else in your business when it comes to an expense, when it comes to each individual job, and the days of cash crunches will be gone. All right, now I'm going to show you our estimator and our job tracker spreadsheet. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you right now, and we're going to get into it, okay? All right, welcome to what you're going to see when you land on our job tracker and estimating spreadsheet. Right off the hop, you're going to see a little bit of instructions here. It's going to tell you that you need to make a copy of this template before you use it. It'll be locked out. You can't do anything first. So instead of sending me an email saying, I can't use it, it doesn't work, go ahead and hit File up at the top here and click Make a Copy. Hit that Make a Copy button, and you're good to go. That's it. Now you can edit this template and tracker. Now, we're going to go down to client details. Let's get right into this. Okay, client details, very simple. When you get a new lead, start putting their information in here. The sooner you have their information in one spot, the easier it'll be for people in the office to be able to make a client file, the easier it'll be for you to refer back to it. It just makes things easier all around because as you get bigger, you're going to have more clients and you need to track them better. Now, one thing I do want to point out on this client detail list is row number 7, or your client's interest. This is a really important thing that I started implementing in my business years and years before I actually exited my business. It helped me with converting sales and it helped me build client relationships. I will say that usually in our course of getting a lead, selling them on that lead, doing the project and following up, we build a surface level or at least a lot of us build a surface level relationship. It's because we are mostly just talking about the job at hand. After all, that's why we've been in contact with each other. But if you want to take that to the next level, if you really want to engage with your clients and build a relationship that will lead to more referrals and actually better profits at the end of the day, even helping you close the deal to begin with is to ask them about their interest. If you find out about their interest during the first phone call, or maybe when you first meet with them, if you're trying to like sell them on a project, say you send them the estimate a few days later, they still haven't decided. Well, let's say their favorite hockey team was the Leafs. Like, make a point of reaching out and being like, hey, did you hear about this with the Leafs, or did you see that game? Or maybe they love RVing. Like, send them an email a few days later and it's like, hey, you mentioned RVing. Is this the kind of RV you have? Listen, it doesn't matter whether or not it actually is or not. The point of it is that you're making a connection with them on something that they love. You're building that relationship, and people like to work with people who they like. So something to keep in mind, something to refer back to. It'll build a deeper relationship with your customer over time, better chance of closing a deal, and better long-term relationship, okay? Next thing we're gonna go into is the actual estimating calculator, okay? This is what we're here for, guys. This is going to be the tool that helps you with your estimates. No more are we doing pricing by the square foot, no more by the linear feet of the wall. We are going to break down every single thing that goes into your job, and we're gonna put it in here. I'm talking things like, you know what? Let's get right into it. Let's go to our first category. Aggregates, soils, pavers, walls, natural stone, the list goes on. Tool rentals, deliveries, grass, coping, business. Business is the one, like if you're talking about overhead, or if you're talking about like any marketing that went into this particular client that you need to do, that would be the category used. Let's just go ahead and start right at the top and say it's going to be aggregate, okay? From there, we're going to go to our item list. Now, under this item list, you're going to find over 2,000 items populated in here. There are so many, and you can search them. There are products from Techoblock. There's stuff from Oaks. There's stuff from Unilock. The list goes on. All sorts of products in here. Soils, mulches, photography. All sorts of things are all populated in here. You can scroll through the massive list if you want to look for stuff, or you can search for it up top. When it comes to aggregate, for this particular job, I'm just going to start off with is a 5/8 limestone gravel. It's what a lot of us use for our base material. Depending on where you are, what kind of job you're doing, it may change, but let's go with this. All right, now you have an option to show how you're getting it to the job site. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and pick by the cubic yard. You can do a half yard, you could do by weight if you're picking it up from a quarry, a bag, whatever it may be. You're going to go in, we're going to say a yard, okay? For my job, I've just made it up. I need 10 yards, okay? 10 goes in the box. Bang, we got it. Now cost. Everybody's cost changes. There's no way for me to know every supply yard. So this is going to be open for you. You're going to have your material list, your price list from your supplier. Go ahead and put this number in. Let's say it's $30. Simple. Hit enter. You'll notice auto-populated our estimate subtotal at 300. Okay, that went ahead and did it for you. No more calculator, no more math. Let's take that out of the equation, make things quicker. Next, we have our markup, okay? This is the really important category, this markup allocation that you can decide to mark up your product. Most contractors out there should be putting a markup on their product. And let's say, for instance, it's 10%. We're going to change this 1 and we're going to replace it with 1.1, the 0.1 representing the extra 10%. you'll notice that transfers over to my estimated subtotal category with a 10% markup from the original estimated subtotal. It's that easy. You do this for everything that you go through. You can change your markups if you want to. On the next item, maybe your markup is 20%, 1.2. That's how you do it. Maybe it's 5%, 1.05. That's how it works. It's that simple. Now, I will say, because I've got this question before, Andrew, what happens if I enter something in the category here and it's actually not something that I can't find what I need? That's not a problem. What you're going to do is you're going to click the area between this little drop-down arrow and the edge of the box. This little white area there, it's going to highlight it. Go ahead and hit delete. You'll notice the drop-down is gone, and you can manually enter whatever it is that you want in here. The same thing with the next box. Let's say there's something in the drop-down that isn't covered. You click that area between the arrow and the edge of the box, hit delete. Now you can type in anything you want in that area. Same thing goes with the final area with how you're picking it up. Go ahead, hit delete, and write them in, okay? Your estimated quantities, your costs will auto-populate the same way all the way through, all right? Now, you've completed your estimating with everything, single thing that goes into your job. Of course, you've got your overhead built in there because you're getting paid no matter what. You know, things like photography, because you're going to provide professional photography for good quality or high-end projects. Then you're going to notice at the end, it gives you a project subtotal. It's going to give you your tax rate. It's going to give you your tax. And before I go to tax, your tax rate is adjustable. So depending on your province or your state, your country, whatever it is, enter the tax rate that goes in there. Don't be charging 13% if your tax rate's 14 or 9, whatever it may be. Make sure you adjust that. It's set for Ontario right now, which is 13%. From there, it's going to give you your tax. You'll know what to set aside for the government. And then it gives you your total. You can then take this total, put it in an estimate, provide it to a client, okay? It's that simple. It's got everything laid out for you right there. Now, one thing I will say when you create your estimate is you want to make sure that you include a part in your estimate that prices are subject plus or minus, certain amounts. And this is because, the explanation for a client would be when we estimated, say 10 yards of gravel, but if we're excavating and we get into a soft spot, we're going to dig a little bit more, and that might end up being 11, or it might be 12, or it might be 14. There sometimes are additional costs that come up in a project, and in a project of this nature that some additional and unforeseen costs do arise. Okay, let them know about this because this is what's going to help you when it comes to the final stage of recouping any additional costs. Okay, now we're going to go on to the job tracker. Let's say, which actually only happens once you get the job. So you got the job, congratulations. Here we go to the job tracker. Okay, you're going to notice that stuff moved from the first page over to this one. This is the auto-populating categories I talked about. No more back and forth. This is built just for you guys to increase the time or decrease the time it takes for you to get through these estimates and your tracking. This is what's available to all your crews on site. I recommend you share this with them so that they can actually go in, your crew lead can add in the realized totals that they use on a job site. You'll notice everything auto-populated over. Our estimated quantity is here and our realized quantity is here. This is what we put in, we actually used on the job. If we use less, we credit it. If we use more, we add in the extra. Okay, in this case, for the sake of it, I'm going to say we use 12 yards. Let's say we hit a soft spot, we found some clay. Okay, you enter that in, and you're going to notice that it moves all the way across with your realized subtotal versus your estimated total. It keeps your markup in, and it shows you your realized total with the actual amount of gravel you use and the markup built in. How great is that? Okay, it's going to track every single thing on your job. You're going to fill all of these in. And at the very end, you're going to see two different totals. You're going to have your original estimated total, and then you're going to have your realized total. And this is what's really important, because a lot of contractors don't ever know the difference between these two numbers. They send the final bill to the client. It's always this one here, or most often this one here, and it's not the number here. Just in this one alone, we're off by about $80, right? Like that's on a couple of yards of gravel. Imagine a $30,000 or $40,000 project, how much, like if we're talking about 1 or 2%, it could be over, multiple jobs in a season, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So what does the difference between these two numbers mean? How do they actually correlate to one another? This is the final column or the final sheet that I have in here for you, which is your final adjustments or your realized and estimated totals. You'll notice that our realized total has auto-populated here. Our estimated total has populated below, and we have our adjusted balance owing. A little note sitting beside there saying that if this number is a negative number, then a credit's due back to the customer, which means you use less material or less labor or less overhead, whatever went into it, it was less than you originally estimated, and you decide how you want to deal with this. Some guys out there say, okay, I'm under, that money's for me because we did it quicker, and I'm just going to say the final bill was the final bill, we're done, and made some extra profit. That's one way to do it. The other kind of person out there would say, you know what, listen, we came in under budget by 3%, whatever it may be. Here is the adjustment to the final bill. On my last installment, you don't owe me this anymore, you only owe this. They're going to be thrilled. They're going to be so amazed that the project came in under budget. They're going to tell all their friends about it, and you're probably going to win more jobs in the future with that word of mouth that goes around. Now, on the other side, if it's positive, which often it usually is, because let's be honest, what we estimate in a perfect office scenario versus what actually happens on the job site site are usually very different. We have delays for weather. We have, sometimes products come and there's a small damage in them. Like, it's hard to take back a scratch stone to the supplier. Often they're not going to credit you a few bucks back, but that shouldn't come out of your pocket. That needs to be covered as part of the job. So if you didn't build in waste or any kind of buffer, then this is where you're going to recoup this in this spot. You're going to say to your client, listen, we talked about the plus or minuses for the unforeseen or additional costs. Here they are. Here's the additional amount owing on the final balance. And that's the end of the job. Now, I will say a word to the wise on this one is if you haven't taken the time to talk about these potential of additional costs at the beginning, or if you're not managing the additional that is starting to run up during the project, if we're talking about a job that goes over, a few weeks, don't be surprised if your client gets pissed off when you slap them with a huge extra owing at the final end of the day. If it's like a 10 or 15%, it's not going to be good. They're not going to be happy with you. You want to talk about any additional prices that you see as the job goes on. I recommend it's something that you do sometimes daily. You will see a number every day on what your estimated totals were and what your actuals are, but something that you maybe review with them at least every couple of days or once a week, depending on the size of the project. So they know there's a little extra here, there's a little extra there. And also by knowing that you've got a few extra costs in certain areas gives you an opportunity to maybe adjust the budget. Like, maybe if you've gone a couple $1,000s over budget, maybe before you go pick up the trees at the supply yard, like the nursery, you talk to the client and you say, listen, we went over on this stuff. Do you want to stick to budget and we'll still pick up the 8-foot trees we were talking about? Or this is your chance, we could pick up some 6-footers. Yes, they're a little bit smaller, they'll take more time to grow in, but this is where we'll save our difference in your budget. That is going to set you head and shoulders above most of the contractors out there. Your clients are going to respect you for doing that. And again, you're going to have happier relationships that are going to lead to more word of mouth and more jobs in the future. So if you want one spreadsheet to do everything you need to do between estimating and actually tracking your expenses on the job, eliminate all those missed extra little bits that add up over the year and cause you your cash crunches, this is it. Make sure you take it and get out there and start growing your business today.